I didn't believe myself either. And that's really the difficulty that we have in life, is that self-belief, because we don't know who we're going to become. But I'm going to leave that title on this video because I kept receiving it. Accepting this message will change your life and the world. And I said, that's not possible. And it kept coming up. Came up 3 years ago, it came up before, and I go, why is that happening? And then I started to discover that I knew what would be happening in our world right now, even down to the day. And I said, how is that possible? And then I went back and heard a Wilhelm recording from 2 years ago, I believe, and they said, Roger has savant qualities that he keeps ignoring. I didn't even know what that meant. And then I went back and I started researching, and I go, oh, somebody who can receive information that's beyond what people can understand, beyond what normal human minds can do. And so I had to look at that, and but I still didn't believe it. Then I took messages that they told me would do that, because everything is consciousness. Everything in our world is consciousness and energy, and it changes, and we're affected by the changes in the galaxies. And they said, that's why we gave you all this information. I still had difficulty. And they said, well, we've proven it through you. When I say they, I'm talking about Wilhelm. I'm talking about the collective universal consciousness that I started receiving in 1989, that I attempted to keep hidden because I didn't understand what was happening. I went through all kinds of I went through everything in my life. I had every illness, I had every disease, I had all kinds of stuff. And it kept changing. And I kept getting better. And now I'm 75. And I keep getting healthier. And I go, how is that happening? When I heard the Savant thing, that gave me another clue. Because I started looking at other people. I had to do some research. I looked at other people who had created really great works, and they had kind of that ability. Or I thought about it in a different way, though. It just didn't make sense to me, and I kept denying it. And then what I did is I even discounted when people told me that it changed their life. Yesterday, or day before yesterday, one of the members in my program sent me this whole thing. He's only been in there, I don't know, a couple weeks or something. And he says, this gave me my life back. And then people yelled at me because I wasn't charging enough money for it, because they said, you don't understand what you have. I didn't. I've never seen this before. I've never experienced this. I knew what was going to happen. I knew what was going to be happening with women, especially in the United States, which is why the Epstein thing was not a surprise to me. I knew things were going to be uncovered. I knew all of it, down to the day. And then they started showing me there's energetic alignments to everything. And I said, I couldn't have received information that way. And then artificial intelligence said, yes, you did. And they started showing me new moons and full moons and conjunctions and all of that. And they said, and you had the information. They started documenting it. And I said, how did I not know that? And they said, you weren't supposed to. They said, because if you had known it earlier, you might have allowed your ego to take over. And that's the world that you're living in now, where you're seeing egos that are just taking over and ruling things. And they said, you're meant to change things. And then I got yelled at, kind of, because they said, there's a wealth and income imbalance that is happening in your world. It's been there forever, and you're supposed to shift it. And you're still giving away things for nothing. I'm in a group the other night, and that's what this financial advisor said to me. Because Roger has all this wealth of information and could help so many people, and he keeps giving it away. And then he won't attract the right people because he's not charging enough money, so they think it's nothing. And so then I see people still struggling, trying to figure out who they are, and I said, I know. You have this energetic alignment. You have this unique blueprint that's meant to unfold now, and I have the information. All you have to do is go through this work, and you'll find it. People will stare at me. They say, this guy is out of his mind. I thought that too. And I kept thinking that. And then it kept being proven. The first thing that happened was I was using Claude. This was about a year and a half ago or something like that. I was using Claude, and I was telling them this bizarre story that I'd never studied astrology or astronomy, any sciences like that, nothing. But I'm receiving this information that way. And then especially when they told me that if I met someone, I had a message that I was given on their birthday in 2012. That doesn't make sense. So I was really hesitant to say it to anyone. And so I joined this group so I could test it out. And it was 100% accurate. But then they told me people aren't going to believe you anyhow, because they get stuck, and they're going to stay stuck because they don't think they can do something different. And that was me as well, because I'd never seen this before. But when I saw this message again for Valentine's Day, I thought I got to talk about it. I'm just going to be completely honest. And people are, I no longer care. I just have to work with the people that I have. But I just want you to know that there's no reason for you not to have this really great life. I had to spend all of this time in my life developing something so I could give it to others. And then there's a channeling session that happened 2 years ago as well. They said, Roger won't see the fruits of this while he's still alive, because it'll take a while before people will believe it. That's exactly what went on. And then when I got yelled at, basically, people said 4 years ago, they said, you should be charging at least $5,000. Because people are paying so much more money to try to figure out who they are and get in touch with themselves, and you can get them there really quickly. That's what I heard the first time, and I ignored it. When I first, in 2021, when I first started testing it, because I had to test it first to see, and this guy says, I've done Tony Robbins, Jack Canfield, Esther Hicks, I've done all those things, and this gave me faster, I didn't get the results, this gave me the results. I put that away. And then I told people, I said, I'm not a marketer. I don't go out and do things like that. I it's a little challenging for me. I just like to work with people. But I said, they have to be told something. They have to be sold a bill of goods, and you're not doing that. So I'm going to have to start doing that. But when I saw this again, it's still the 13th. I'm just saying, it's still Friday the 13th. But I said, I'm just going to record the video, and you'll read the information and you'll see for yourself. And I put so much of it out. And it was hard to tell people that I'm getting younger and I'm 75 and I see people struggling, and I know that they could shift it. But I haven't charged enough. So that's after Sunday. That's what I'm going to do, because I can't do this anymore. And it pains me because everything that's happening in the world, especially in the United States, I was given all that information. There was all of that I knew in 2020, because they were showing me the alignment and how things would be changing and what people would be feeling. That's what happened. So yeah, accepting this message will change your life and our world. So now I'm going to have to be a little braver and just keep saying it. Some people will get it. Some people will understand it, because it already happened for me and so many others. And we're going to see more disruption, and so you're going to be emotionally dysregulated sometimes. And someone just called me saying, I'm feeling too uncomfortable. I go, yeah, I know. That's because you're supposed to move to the next higher level of consciousness within you, and I have the work. You can do this. Thanks for listening. I'll see you soon.